So I've gotten this trailer taken apart the rest of the way, got the drums tore off, and boy did I find a mess in here. Um, Two of the seals were leaking, the brakes were all greasy, they didn't look like they had ever been applied and had any wear on them at all. They look pretty new. I have the drums in my shop, so I'll show you all those. The other two were pretty chewed up where the magnet, I don't know if you're familiar with electric trailer brakes, but the magnet, this is the magnet down here, that sucks onto the, where the studs are, opposite the studs inside the drum, and that in turn then pushes the shoes out against the brake drums. So two were all greasy, two were pretty chewed up as far as where the magnet was. There is some grooves in the drum on the very outside. It looks like just some maybe gravel or something got in there and chewed up a couple of the drums. I think they're savable though. But I got to checking the wiring for the brakes, and I could not get the front axle to energize at all. The rear magnets would energize, and then I would wiggle the wires a little bit, and then I'd get one to energize on the front axle, and then one wouldn't energize on the rear axle. So they had these 3M, I think they're called Scotch-loc connectors on the wiring. And that was the issue. I just cut all those off of there, just put wire nuts on the wires and put some silicone in there. That's the way I've always done it on my other trailers, including brakes, the wiring for the brakes, and I've never had an issue. So just the wiring here, I just put, like I said, wire nuts on there. And I actually had some liquid electrical tape. I was out of my clear silicone. But then I'll show you the Scotch-loc connectors. But the spindles are in good shape. I just have them covered just because of rain. I have to wait on some bearings. I want American-made bearings. These were Chinese bearings, and two of the bearings were already self-destructing. There was a lot of metal in the grease. I've actually never seen so much metal in bearings before like that. So I'm having to wait a longer period of time to get what I want. And that is American-made bearings. So these are all the bearings that I pulled out of there. They're all Chinese bearings. The other issue is because there was a grease zerk in the end of the spindle for guys that are too lazy to pre-pack their bearings. And there's a rubber plug in the dust cap. So a guy would pull the this rubber plug out of the dust cap, and the grease zerk would be right there, and he would grease the bearings, add some grease on top of old grease. I don't know why you would want to do that, but these things were all dry rotting, and so they were letting moisture in there. There was definitely moisture in one set of bearings because that red grease was all pink. And there's probably some dust and debris getting past some of the other rubber plugs. So I'm getting solid ones. I'm eliminating the hole in there with the rubber plug. Okay, these are the 4 drums from the trailer. This is, I believe, this is the right front, right rear, left front, left rear. So both the ones on the right were all scored up here where the magnet sucks on there, like I was explaining. The magnet sucks on there and then forces the shoes out against the inside diameter of the drum. So the right side were kind of chewed up from the magnet grabbing on there. I did just by hand, took all the high spots off in here. I have not done it to this drum yet, so you can see the difference there. Bring you a little closer. You can see the difference there. I've smoothed this out, got some of the high spots off. This is the worst one grooved up on the inside diameter. It's still savable. already got enough money into the trailer of what I paid for the thing brand new, and now I'm having to do all this work just out of warranty. So it's all on my dime. So I'm gonna do the same thing to this drum, clean this drum up where the magnet contacts here, and this is surfaced. The inside diameter is better than this one on the inside diameter. So basically 2 brakes were working hard, just on the right side and the left side over here. Believe it or not, these are the same age as those drums there, and these things, look how smooth those look there. This is where the magnet is supposed to be grabbing on there. And they are nice and smooth like a baby's butt. So, and there's really hardly anything in here. These have the leaking seals though, and it's got some glazing in here, so I have to go in there with some sandpaper, emery paper, and kind of rough that up a little bit, but the drums are savable. What I did to take the high spots down on this drum, and what I'm going to be doing, the high spots on this drum, and what I'm going to be doing to this drum over here, I just use this right angle die grinder. I went to my big box store and bought some of these, and I used the, there's 3 sanding disc and 2 Scotch-Brites. So I use the finest one out of the sanding and the finest one out of the Scotch-Brite to get me this. So that's what I'm gonna do there. The bearings, I had to really look for those. A lot of Chinese ones out there. Even where I bought the trailer, I explained the situation to them, and all they would offer me was some more Chinese bearings. So I had to go elsewhere to try to find them. I did find them at E-Trailer. They have a lot of Chinese bearings there, but they do have some Timken American-made ones. There's a backlog on there. It's a wait for those, so I'm gonna wait. That's, I think it's the 2nd week of June. Yeah, got 4 weeks to wait for those. I'm gonna take you out now and show you I have done quite a bit of work to the storage on the trailer, in the tongue area. I'm doing my videos on my cell phone, and my cell phone was down. I had to get a replacement, so I actually did some work and didn't film it, but I'll show you what I did get accomplished up there. Okay, so big picture wise, what I got done up here was basically 3 things. I made some storage in between the tongue here, and I'll show you that in more detail in a minute. But I would oftentimes have different things that I couldn't put in the trailer just because I was afraid they would bounce out of the trailer. They're difficult to lash down good, you know, pipe rollers and pry bars and things like that. You don't want that bouncing down the road into somebody's windshield or grill. So I made these holders here to stand up some of those items. I have a long breaker bar in here for in case I get a flat or something and my impact isn't going to do the job. Crowbar, some rollers, some angle that I use for screwing some plywood together to make a ramp to unload machines and load them back up. And some more pipe rollers over there in that one. And I'll lower you down here. And right here, this is another piece of PVC that I just painted black, and I have it across the front, and I have a long digging bar, essentially. If you watch my machine moving video, you see I'll go in more detail about the bars that I use for moving machines and equipment around. But I have a long one in there, and I have some long 1x material that I use for screwing another set of ramps together to load machines and unload machines. This here, I'll bring you down a little bit more. This here I talked about doing before in another video. I think it's when I finished up putting the winch on the trailer. It was like part 3. I think I talked about that in there. But this battery for the brakes, this was on a shelf up under here originally from the factory. That's where the battery was located. That's the pull off for the brake system in case your trailer gets disconnected from your tow vehicle. What it does, it pulls this out, and that energizes the battery, makes the battery, I should say, energize the magnets on the brakes and makes the trailer stop. So I moved that up here, a little higher and drier, hopefully up there. Maybe I'll build a shield around here. I know they probably had it down in here behind the tongue framing maybe to protect it some, but I wanted to utilize that space for what I have in there, and that's my chains and binders, as well as my bar for putting my bars on for my equalizer hitch. I just have it weighted down underneath the chains here so it doesn't bounce out. I do intend to put a cover on this. I have the steel for it, or a piece of steel that I could use for it. I just don't want to cut it up and use it because I use that sheet of steel for laying on my blacktop driveway and putting the floor jack on it. So I don't really want to cut that up. So I have to locate another piece of steel for that. But that'll be a solid piece across here just underneath the winch, and then it'll be hinged from there forward, and it'll lock down up here. Okay, as you can see inside in between the tongue here, I have some what they call expanded metal. Let me get you a piece. All right, this is that material. It's called expanded metal. It's about an eighth inch thick, and it has hot dip galvanizing on there. I bought the sheet of this from off a Facebook Marketplace from somebody who had some greenhouses, and so they would use this on their tables for all their flowers. Hot dip galvanized worked out good for this. I did have quite a bit of fitting to do to get around these items here. This is the bracket for the equalizer hitch, so that has to stay there. Basically, it's a triangle piece, and then I folded up the back side of it, welded a piece of angle across there, and welded a piece of angle underneath the middle of the expanded metal to help support the weight of all the chains and binders in there. So that's what we got accomplished up here. I don't think I'll have much trouble having enough tongue weight, because I'm adding a lot of weight up here lately. This winch is probably, I haven't weighed it, but it's probably at least 100 pounds. And then all those chains, I will weigh all those chains. I just haven't done it yet, and try to add up what I've got up here that I've added to the tongue area. I'll show you a couple other modifications I did in case you're interested. These stake pockets here, I bought some ready-made spare tire carrier or bracket, and the way they were designed, when you tightened it up onto the stake pocket, the angle on the spare tire carrier would press out on the stake pocket and bend it out a little bit, and then as you're going down the road and it's bouncing, it would bend that more, and then pretty soon the bolt wasn't holding it tight anymore, and so the bolt could theoretically wobble, keep shaking and wobbling and work itself out and fall on the road, and then your spare tire would be possibly bouncing out. So that's these brackets here. I showed you these before. What it didn't have this here. So now I've made these and welded these on there. So now when it goes on there, it's got to stop. It's not on this angle. It won't be hitting this angle here, bending the stake pocket, deforming it. So this piece just goes on the bottom, and then this bolt goes up from the bottom there. Just like so. I gotta tighten it up, but you get the idea. Now it has a positive stop there on top of the pocket. And so the spare tires, when I was trying to get my tongue weight down when I was loading the last load up, I took the spare tires and moved them to the rear stake pockets here. And these are the ones that got all bent up that I showed in a previous video, my last video I believe. So I try to have some items on the trailer that I can move around for ballast, even if I've weighed it and weighed the tongue weight and I think it's good, and I start driving around hauling the trailer and it just doesn't feel right. I have some weight I can either move from the front to the rear or vice versa, the rear to the front, in order to get it to feel better and trailer better. The last item that I modified, and that was putting these brackets on here to hold these wood ramps. The wood ramps I use for loading and unloading heavier items off the side of the trailer. I'll pull the wood sides out of the stake pockets, and I'll take these and that bracket at the end there of the ramp. This bracket here, got a couple holes there. I'll just zip some screws through there into my deck boards, and that keeps them from shifting on me while I'm trying to load or unload something. These are just brackets for like a gate, and then I just wrapped a bungee cord around there, and some of the weight is sitting on top of the fenders. So the fenders are one good thing I like about this trailer. I know I've said a lot of negative things about this trailer, but I do like the fenders. I think they're well made. I like the little corner piece there that I use as a step. I actually put some sticky traction gritty stuff on top of the fender, and I cut some to fit on that step. And there are lights in the front of this step, so that's nice when you're backing up at night and you don't know where the trailer's at. That helps you to see where the trailer is at, and it gives a little bit of light onto the surrounding area. Not much, but that is one nice feature. Okay, so I'll probably end this video here because I'm waiting on parts, and once I get the parts, I'm just going to be, reassembling the brakes. The brake shoes and everything are on there. I'm going to reuse those. I've got to clean them real good, and I'm just going to repack the bearings and pack new bearings, I should say, and put the drums on, put the tires on, and then it'll be good to go, I think. Just wanted to bring in an update on the modifications and where I'm at with some of the issues with the trailer and what I'm doing to improve the trailer, make it more useful to me for what I'm using it for, not just for cars. I actually bought this trailer to move a couple of tractors, and I've used it a couple times to tow my own tow vehicle, having to modify it some for moving my shop, moving my garage type items, some heavier machines and things like that. So what I've done there will be useful for moving those items, hauling those items, and also, of course, the chains and the binders being right on the trailer will be useful for hauling tractors or vehicles and things of that nature. So hope you're finding some of this interesting. Please like, share, comment if you like. That would really help out the channel. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching.